welcome to Accenture's 20-minute takeaways. I'm your host Donna, and today I'm here with Ateh Jewel, award-winning beauty journalist, writer, beauty brand owner, foundation starter and diversity advocate. She's had an amazing career so far, and today she'll be sharing her experience of how to make a big idea a reality. So Ateh.
Hi, so nice to be here.
Great to have you. So tell me about your career so far and how you got to where you are now.
Well, my career has been really exciting and dynamic. I am a beauty junkie. I've always loved beauty and I've always loved history. So I actually studied history at Bristol University. And when I left, I was very thrown. I didn't know what to do. And my mum gave me the best advice. She said, make your hobby your job. So I knew I could bang out an article or an essay, and I loved beauty. So I put the two together and started out on magazines. It was about 21 years ago, that golden age of Devil's Wear Prada, Sex and the City, magazine life. And I had to push through a lot of noise to get where I wanted to be. No one looked like me. For years, for decades, I'd walk into a launch and I'd be the only person of color or the only woman who had darker skin. It was very difficult because a lot of people were like, this is not for you, this is not your space. So my whole career is about just being myself, bringing my passion, my love of beauty, and all my hobbies I've made into jobs. So I've had a production company, I'm a producer because I love film, I'm creating my own foundation line and makeup and wellness, I'm a diversity advocate, I love current affairs and pop culture, so I'm a social commentator. My mum's advice was amazing. Whatever you're into, just make it into a job.
So what are some current projects you're working on or other things that you're trying to get off the ground at the moment?
So I've just launched the Dr. Ateh Jewel Education Foundation, which is a foundation helping Black and mixed heritage students in the UK in higher education. I really want to give people rocket fuel to be their best selves. You know, I had so much noise, negative noise. It was very difficult for me at university. I worked 4 jobs, I worked so hard, but I knew there was no failure. There was no other way but to succeed. And it was a very painful experience. And I want to make sure other people don't have that and that they should go to the places where they should be at the heart of excellence and do really well. I'm also launching my beauty brand, which is all about wellness and candles, also foundations for deeper skin tones, and also makeup, because I want to be the answer. I want to be the solution. There's so many brands which don't deliver, I think, as you and I both know.
It's very hard, isn't it, to find shades that cater to certain skin tones.
Exactly. And again, what's that really about? Is it about makeup, or is it about your worth, that you deserve to have that feeling of glamour and power and luxury? So again, it's status, identity, power. I'm also writing a book called Coils and Curls, The Ultimate Guide to Loving Your Hair. And, we've had a conversation about curls and coils. It can take decades to really love and accept who you are, your hair texture. Because again, it's a marker of otherness, of being different, and your status. If you Google professional hair or unprofessional hair, coils and curls will automatically come up, which is so terrible. What message is that sending? That the hair that grows out of our head naturally isn't good enough. So it's about talking about all these issues and negative noise, pushing past. My children, when they were 3, I have 10-year-old mixed heritage daughters who are just delicious. And when they were 3, they told me, Mama, it's such a shame we can't be princesses because we don't have straight yellow hair. We can only be maids because we have curly brown hair.
And they learned that at 3. At 3.
With, their mother is a diversity advocate. Everything I teach and everything I'm giving to my children, they were still infected by this negative noise that they weren't good enough. And that is what you carry throughout your life. And it wasn't until I was 37 that I put that down and learned to love myself and accept myself. So that is a book that I'm very passionate about. Lots of exciting things coming up, and more TV, more amazing articles. I have my Marie Claire column, just basically expressing myself in lots of different ways.
But it sounds like you've got so much going on. You've got your girls. How do you know how to prioritise? What do you prioritise? Your head must be just spinning.
It's a lot, but I feel so grateful that I have these opportunities. And if I think about people who look like me in the 50s or the 40s, or, you know, my great-great-grandmother, I am her dream come true. And that is such a responsibility. And I'm just a little link in a chain, and it's my job to push it forward for my daughters and my granddaughters and my great-granddaughters. So that is, you know, it doesn't matter how tired you get, that's what pushes me through.
But where has this confidence come from, you know, to break through that ceiling and say, I'm going to do this? Because not many people, you know, can do that. Where has it come from? Is it an inner confidence? Is it confidence a family member gave you?
I think confidence is so important, and I feel very lucky that I come from a very powerful family. There was a lot of expectation put on me. My dad was a diplomat with the UN. My mum is like from Trinidad and really is full of power. And she was the first, you know, now that I'm in my 40s, I realize how much my mother was a diversity advocate in the 80s without even realizing it. I remember when I was little, I used to do ballet, and they never had brand ballet shoes. Actually, they only started making them in 2018. Shocking. But I remember my mum bought me burgundy ballet shoes. Like, if you can't have it in your colour, go red. You know what I mean? Literally, go left. And I remember being mortified. Everyone had their beautiful pink little shoes, and I was in this like scarlet burgundy shoes. And what she taught me was to stand out, to stand up, and to be, and not to assimilate in a funny way. And so only now as I get older, I realise so many lessons of like, no, not on my watch. I got taught that a lot, I think.
So how important is it to be proactive in order to make these things kind of happen and make dreams a reality?
Being proactive is so important. It is everything. You know, great ideas just don't plop out of the air. It's I love that quote. You know, the harder I work, the luckier I get. Yes, and it's the truth. In terms of inspiration, I'm always looking at art galleries or reading books or watching TV shows or reading, and that's where inspiration is born, from plucking ideas, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So fill yourself up is so important. You know, it could be you could be exercising, you could be doing yoga, and that's when energy flows. So look after yourself, your well-being, fill yourself up with art, popular culture, speak to interesting people. Just that's how inspiration is born. Also, don't squander opportunities. That's the big one. People are so frightened that they're not an expert in something, they'll walk away. So I remember the birth of my production company many years ago. I had a PR friend. It was before the internet. It was before social media. And she said to me, Ateh, I'm thinking of filming backstage at Fashion Week. What do you think? And I was like, that's a terrible idea. Who's going to watch that? And then I went away, and my husband's a director. And I said, Daniel, filming beauty, it's a thing. And he goes, yeah, I've heard there's a thing called a blog. I think you should jump on that. I'm like, the blog? Okay, whatever. But do you think we should film? And we just went for it. And then we filmed Matthew Williamson. We went backstage and, you know, Milan, we started filming everybody, and then suddenly a whole new industry was born, and suddenly I was doing 10% beauty writing and 90% filming for massive brands like Chanel, Dior, Estée Lauder, L'Oréal Paris, like Lancôme, everybody. And it's because I just took a leap of faith and just went for it. So take advantage of really exciting opportunities, even if you feel, I don't know what this is about. It was completely new, and don't be frightened to jump in with 2 feet.
So how does the need to stand out in a competitive field impact the type of work you do and the type of ideas that you try and push forward?
Ideas are currency. Ideas and creativity is money in the bank, basically. And the more you can stand out, the more you can be original. I mean, the more you can tap into what makes you unique. Growing up, everyone wants to be the same. No one wants to stand out. And the trick is, the minute you accept the things that make you eccentric, the things that make you interesting and unique and different, That is your power. So when you're going into a big corporation, don't try and fit in. Like, I love ballet. And I remember watching a documentary, and the woman, one of the ballerinas was in the group, the core, and she said she tried so hard to fit in and be perfect. It actually meant that she never got recognized, and she was never promoted to be a soloist. Don't try and fit in. That's the moral. Stand out, be dazzling, twirl, do you, and that's the best advice I could give.
That's brilliant advice, because so many people are afraid, aren't they, to break from the mould and be different and feel they won't be accepted.
Yeah, and to speak up and to feel, people are so concerned about being judged. And I think the minute you can let that down, and I'm not saying that's easy, it's taken me till my 40s, but the minute you just really don't care what people think about you and you just do you, that's when magic happens.
So what advice would you give somebody going into maybe a big company, wanting to carve out their own ideas, but maybe feeling that they can't? I mean, how would you give someone the confidence to do that?
I mean, the confidence to be yourself and to carve out interesting, different ideas. Look at the evidence. You might feel like you have low self-esteem or low confidence, but what is the evidence? You're there because they want you to shine. Look at everything you've achieved in your career, in your personal life, in your hobbies. This is the things that make you really special. So it's about looking inside and grabbing everything that makes you you and beaming it out. I think it's from the inside out. Everybody has something to say. Everybody has a special gift. No, I don't know your life. I have not walked in your shoes. You haven't walked in my shoes. And that's what makes a diverse workforce so exciting and interesting. Tell me your story. Have the confidence. What you have to say is of value.
So you've spoken about how being proactive can give you ideas, getting inspiration, but what is it that helps you execute these ideas, get them off the ground?
It can be very daunting getting a big idea off the ground, and I always say work backwards. So have your vision. Manifesting is also very good, but have your vision of what you want and work backwards. It's like go up to the top of the mountain and trace your steps backwards. So what do you need to achieve what you want to do? What expertise do you need? What tools do you need? And then you work backwards, and then you break it down into tiny chunks. Every journey begins with one step. So many people are daunted. They look up the mountain and say, I can't do it. But if you think to yourself, what does it take to get to base camp 1? And then base camp 2, base camp 3. Also, don't put pressure on yourself. I think you can talk yourself out of a really good idea or a project so easily because you lack faith. And it sounds really simple, but you kind of have to have faith that everything you are and all your expertise will deliver your finished product. And if you don't know something, ask for help or hire someone. It's really simple. If you don't know what you're doing, research or get someone on board who does know what they're doing.
It's okay to not know everything, isn't it? Nobody
really
knows everything.
Okay. Exactly. It's really okay. And it takes confidence to say, I'm not quite sure about this, but I think it's a good idea. And I think having the humility to ask for help is, I think a lot of successful people are quite humble because they acknowledge, I'm not quite sure, I'd love to learn.
It takes strength to ask for help, doesn't
Yeah.
it? So what would you say to the people that maybe are too afraid to have dreams? Maybe they've got no money, they grow up with no connections, they haven't got family around them, and they just think that having any kind of dream is just unobtainable and not for them.
First of all, you have to tell yourself, I've got this. I deserve a seat at the table. That's number one. If you don't believe it, no one's going to buy it. So you have to believe in yourself. But also in terms of making networks, it's so important. And so many people, they have their mummies and daddies pick up a phone and get them a job. I went to school with a lot of people that happened to, but that wasn't the case for me. I knew no one in the beauty industry. My dad is from a very kind of political, he worked for the UN and thought I was sort of crazy, that I wanted to go into beauty. He thought I'd messed up at university, but I got my 2-1, I was good. It was a lifestyle choice. And basically, I created my own network. So the first magazine I ever got on, I called them every day for 2 weeks. I call it polite stalking. And to make me sort of go away, they said, oh, oh, just come in. And I lied. I said, listen, I live around the corner. Just let me have a quick interview. I knew no idea where they were. And they called. I said, okay, if you're living around the corner, just come in. I jumped in the taxi. I had no money. It was like lunch with the taxi. I chose a taxi so I could be there within 5-10 minutes. And then I had an amazing interview. They said, okay, fine. And the next day, everyone in that office came down with flu. And they were like, come in. And I stayed for a year.
Oh.
So it's that thing of like, I just made it happen. And there's very simple things you can do. Like you can, I knew another girl who looked at the credits of a TV show and found the editor or the producer and just phoned them up or emailed them. She knew it'd be a dot something. And she just kept on trying every format until it pinged. And I think when you are really tenacious and you believe in yourself, it's quite infectious. So I remember being 22, I was really young, I had just gone freelance, and I called up, I'm telling you now, and at 43, I'm like, I don't even know how I had the guts to do this, but I phoned up the beauty editor of American Vogue and told her I was coming to New York on holiday. Could I swing by and say hi? And she was like, okay. So I remember having this amazing, Sex and the City, like it was 2005 or something experience. I was in American Vogue chatting to her about ideas. She was so kind. She said, do you want to see our beauty room? And I went in, it was like angels singing. And, it was incredible. And I think what people don't realize is how easy it is. Or simple, people just don't pick up the phone. People just don't do that email. And when you do, when people see passion and they see fire, they respond. Also, pick a mentor. Pick someone whose career you want to echo. They don't know they're your mentor, but they are, and follow the steps that they did. Like, if you want to do something which seems so out of reach, how did someone else do it? Find 5 mentors, unpick their journey, and then you start to create a blueprint of how something is done that you might not have imagined. So I had lots of invisible mentors who didn't know who I was, but I'm like, oh, they went freelance and started working for these titles, and then they did this and they did that. And then these people suddenly became my friends and colleagues. And they don't know, but they were my mentors before they even know who I was. And it's that thing of believing in yourself. Picture yourself at the table until you're there. It can be done, believe.
So it's sort of about making your own luck, really, isn't it?
Make your own luck. Be someone can't say no to. I think so many people lack real fire and passion. I think a lot of people kind of go through the motions. So if you're someone who is on fire, burning, there is no other way but to do this job, to have this career, people will recognize that. And everyone wants flames around them.
That's brilliant. I feel like going and ringing 5 people up now. Knocking on doors.
Yeah. And I mean, also have a tough skin. For every yes, there might be 20 no's, and that's okay. I remember one of my good friends was an assistant at a publishing house, and she was like, there's a story about a boy wizard. I think we should really book it. And they were like, nah, never catch on. It's called Harry Potter. So her boss denies that she rejected it. But it's that thing of everyone gets rejected, but you just keep going, because you are special. And it's that self-belief. If you have to believe in what you're selling, or else no one else will. And fire, passion, tenacity always wins. Even if it's a year, 2 years, 20 years, 30 years, you will get to where you want to if you believe it.
So do you have any general advice for people that are really, really hungry to go out and make their big ideas happen?
Yes, I've got advice would be to be laser focused. Really identify what you're good at, what you love, that passion that just burns inside of you, because you'll never get tired of doing that. So laser focus. Think about where your end game is going to be. What corner office, what that's going to look like. What do you want to do? How are you going to make the steps to get there? And then try and avoid burnout. It happened to me. I worked so hard. I used to do 18-hour days like they were nothing. I would just, not eat and drink properly or have too much sugar as my go-go juice. I gave myself type 2 diabetes. So wellness is everything. Health is wealth. Take time out. Rest. Rest is so productive, so you can get your juices flowing again and just take care of yourself. The advice I'd give to people going into a big arena, which can be very intimidating and very scary, is to just believe in yourself. You are enough. You are more than enough. It's about really valuing what you have to bring to the table, that the things that make you different, the thing that makes you unique is actually your superpower. And it took me decades to learn that. I wish I learned it quicker. I have 10-year-old twin daughters, and my job is like, get there faster, love yourself, believe in yourself. What you say is important. You are important.
That's really inspiring. A simple message, but beautiful.
Thank you so much.
It's been great talking to you today.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for tuning in today. Hopefully you've enjoyed watching our conversation as much as we enjoyed having it. Remember that this is part of a series, and you can watch the others on the Accenture Careers site, our YouTube channel, or wherever you found this one. If you want to know more about life at Accenture, then head straight to our careers site. You can also find out more about our online campus, Accenture Live, which starts in October. See you then.